Now, for 1 minute apiece, you can address any of the issues that have been brought up. I just want to mention a couple others that we kind of get to on a round basis. There are several questions about emergency services, paramedic services, second fire stations, those kinds of things as well, and questions with regard to the city building, to studies that may or may not have been done on the city building, to the feasibility, the maintenance costs of a new building versus an old building. Any issue, you're the ones who are out in the community who are asking these questions. The questions you think would be important for people to know your position on whether we have brought the topic up or it's a topic we haven't addressed yet. And we're going to do this in random fashion so you don't get to prep your answer for 5 minutes while you wait for it to come down the table. You just have to look at me and I'll tell you who's up. We'll start with Mr. Dixon.
My 1 minute answer to a critical issue that I feel very strongly about is the 2100 North Corridor. This is so critical that we don't divide our city into impassable, uncrossable freeway. I want to continue to work towards a roadway that will not only accommodate traffic from other communities, but also traffic locally that will be able to cross north and south with easy access, and also access for business. I anticipate that if this is developed appropriately and properly, we will see a corridor that can be a commercial corridor as well as a traffic corridor, and one that can be designed well, beautifully, that will accommodate our city. So there's my 1 minute answer on one particular issue. How did I do? Perfect. Oh.
You have to look. It's part of the instructions. So, Mr. Revill.
I'd like to address parks, recreation, and cultural arts. I think that it's very important that we acquire these properties for these fields for our sporting different events. We purchased a large property called the Tech property on the north end of town, 80-something acres, I think, of property, and we're still trying to decide what to do with that property. But I think, in fact, I took a drive up to Harriman the other day. For those of you who've been out there and seen that county park that's out there, it's unbelievable what they've been able to do with different terrace land, and they've got 3 or 4 baseball fields, they've got 5 or 6 soccer fields, and it's just amazing what they've been able to do. We hope to be able to work with them in the future to be able to build those fields. Cultural arts. For any of you that haven't been to one of our plays, please go on the website and look and support our Arts Council. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Russ. Mr. Ray.
I mentioned this before, but let me just speak to it for another minute. I live on the west side of town, and I would really like to see a fire station and, if need be, a satellite police station built out there. I commend the City Council for thinking ahead and possibly putting one up by the Gary project in Traverse Mountain. However, the past couple of years there have been some train stoppages, sometimes for hours upon hours, and of course that is a nightmare traffic-wise as well. I'm just concerned that if there is ever such a train stoppage or major congestion like that, if there was an emergency on the west side, we'd have to rely on Saratoga Springs, because I don't think that that's feasible when it's so far down the road. So I'd like to see a nice fire station and possibly a police station put down there so that there's some coverage on that west side should it be cut off. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Laurence.
I'd like to address the issue of fiscal responsibility. It concerns me to no end when we're willing to donate $1 million to a museum and we haven't resolved issues of public safety. When we as a community are growing with the rapid rate that we are and have these desperate needs for public safety, and we're willing to offer money from our coffers for those purposes, I'm concerned. I am mostly concerned with your rights, and public safety directly correlates with your right to life, and I would do whatever I could to protect it. And part of protecting it is ensuring that our public safety concerns are up to par. And so that would be one of my primary focuses. Public safety is one of my absolute top priorities and concerns.
Thank you. Well, there's only two of you left. And since Mr. Harris has been at the end of most of these, we'll let him go now. Mr. Harris.
Thank you. In my travels around the city, talking to residents, seeing what they feel are important issues, there's been a common thread that has been expressed to me, and that is the desire to be heard. And these residents have expressed situations where they have felt that their input was not wanted, that the things they said were not important. And I think that's a very bad thing for residents to feel. And I think it's not appropriate. I think as city council members, we are here to serve the people. And we should be responsive to their needs. And so I think that's important. And I think we all ought to keep that in mind, that it's because of the residents that we're on the city council, and that as members of the city council, we should listen to them and take into account the things they say.
Thank you. No suspense left, is there? Mr. Johson.
Yes, I'm left. I wish I would have went first. Now I've got 6 issues I want to talk about. So, I think one thing I am so concerned is all the misinformation out there and the idea that evilness abounds in the city. I just don't believe that's the case. I've been involved long enough now that when you get involved and you find out what's really going on, you find out, oh, there is thought and planning behind some of the issues. The traffic issue, there's been a considerable amount of planning. It's underway. You have to be patient. Things don't happen overnight in the city. That's one thing I definitely learned. It is a government agency. There is a lot of red tape. It's no different. But we are headed in a very good direction. There are actually 5 fire stations being planned in Lehi. One is out in your area. That's been discussed and being considered. Properties being bought downtown. It's taking place with the redevelopment funds. Redevelopment funds are part of the government funds of the city. They're not part of the any other funds. They're funds that are actually used in almost every community across the United States. Every city that has revitalized the downtown has done it with revitalization funds, and they've been successful. We'll be